book changed a lot for me because, when the book came out, the making of the book changed a lot for me because I was teaching these classes in a university in San Francisco. And as I taught these classes, or as I elaborated those classes, I realized the organization of the book. I realized how I wanted to structure my classes and consequently the book. And then as I was elaborating each chapter or each part of the book, I realized how much I had to say. So I was almost like, oh my God, I have a lot to say. And so it was a deepening for me of what I assumed was normal and familiar. I realized the intricacy of my knowledge in a way and what I wanted to share with the world. So that was really inspiring and deepening as I was writing the book. For my practice, I learn acceptance. I learn a lot about being with the person across from me, accepting their complexity, encouraging their growth, having a compassion for their suffering. I learn a lot about myself in terms of what may inspire me in someone's blossoming, what triggers me in someone's attitude or wound. Some people have a wound that echoes with something personal, of course. I mean, I'm just a human being. I'm not a wall. So I am being sometimes a little shaken. Not like it's going to show, or not like I'm going to be having a crisis, but I learned a lot about myself through my work. Accompanying people, seeing deep places in themselves, and being of assistance really helps me build my own self-knowledge along the way. It's being with people is like having an experience of mushroom in a way, right? Of discovery. Yeah, how do I teach what I learn? Well, the book is an attempt to teach some of what I've learned in terms of the method, in terms of the structure of how we can facilitate some work with sacred plants, in this case mushroom, but that's true for any expanded state of consciousness. It can be meditation, sweat lodge, dancing, painting, meditating. So the structure of the preparation, experience, and integration is valid for different practices, really. Anything that changes our state of consciousness is following the same arc, and I think it's all valid. What was the question again? Remind me.
How do you teach?
How do I teach? And then I try to elaborate, what does it mean to be a psychedelic guide? What does it require from me as a guide? What person do I need to grow inside me, or who do I need to be in my authenticity, in my skills, in my fragilities? How do I create an atmosphere of what we call the set and setting that is safe, that is informed, that is respectful, intentional? How do I guide the work? How do I implement my tools and skills in a way, my channeling of the medicine presence in the room? How do I assist people in crisis or in challenges during the work? It's never really a crisis, but it can be a challenge. How do I work with people on their body if needed, which is something I've learned from the indigenous practices? And finally, how do I teach people how to support people past the experience itself, what we call the integration phase? What do we do with that phase? How do we support people to implement changes and absorb the teachings that they have received during the experience? It's an interesting question because I love that book, the Consciousness Medicine. I really like it. I really feel that it holds. It's a really good manual. It's a really good step-by-step process that can be very applied and very useful for people. And I've gotten this feedback, which I'm really glad. And I feel that there is another book in me more about more like my philosophy or my vision of the cosmology of the mushroom and the Mazatec tradition. There's something different that's less practical and less of a roadmap and maybe more philosophical book on different topics. That is, I feel it's gestating. I don't know if I will get to it, but I feel it's in me. Mm-hmm.
Trop bien. What does it mean to change?
Mm-hmm. We're in constant change. Every second is a change. So accepting our own evolution, accepting to be aging, accepting to be learning, accepting to be evolving. Everything affects us, everything teaches us something. If we want to listen, if we want to spend some receptive time to hear how everything impacts us. So change is unavoidable and it happens every second. So to change is to accept evolution. Integrate is how to make things embodied. Not only, but also. Integrate is making meaning and making something real out of something that is more invisible. So in any practice, maybe sound healing, I look here because there's beautiful Tibetan bowls for the public, I'm not looking at the ground. If we do a sound healing, or if we do a drumming journey, or if we do a meditation practice, or if we take mushrooms, we are taken in spaces. We have insight, we have feelings, we have emotions, we have memories, we have a state in our body of relaxation, we have we're confronted with our own lies or addictive patterns. There's a lot of things that we gain during an experience, whatever the mean of the experience is. And the process of integration is, what do we do with these things that we get during an experience? How do we make things real? How do we act on an emotion or a realization? How do we create more peace in our life if we feel like the sound healing journey has been putting us in such a relaxed state and we benefit from it? So it's to make things real and to put the seeds in our lives so they can grow. It's to continue the work that has happened during the journey, we call it. I think, well, it depends. I'm saying that because physical boundaries are necessary if they're necessary. If someone is in great distress, a holding of a hand is necessary. But someone who is in a really open space and is, having a great time listening to Tibetan bowl doesn't need any physical touch necessarily. So in the Mazatec tradition, there is a great respect for physical boundary, and there is also a great technicality in assisting people when they are in challenging moments or places of fear or places of contraction or places of pain that come up in the body. And in that case, physical touch is very much beneficial. And so there are certain ways to touch people that are ethical and respectful and helpful and don't last the whole time. I mean, if someone cries because they go through an emotion that is very grieving, for example, it's useful to have a human being that's going to put a hand on a shoulder or hold a hand. But then you don't stay there for hours, you just stay momentarily and then leave and let the person continue. So physical contact is important, but it's not necessary, and it has to be done within good bound of respect, of course. Well, a sense of trust, a sense of rapport, a sense of connection. The facilitator ideally should really have a sense of who the person is. It's not always true. I mean, a lot of the time we go into a meditation retreat and we don't necessarily have a meeting with the teacher, or we go to I don't know, to a dance retreat, and we don't necessarily have a meeting with a dance leader to explain what we're working on. Let's say we've lost a partner or a parent, and we go dancing and we started to fall apart. The facilitator may not know necessarily. So that happens, right? We don't always have, how could I say, the personal bond with the guide of the process. With psychedelics, of course, ideally, the facilitator has met and talked to the person who is going to do the journey and has a sense of their psychology and their biography and possibly the trauma history, what they're dealing with, their intention, so they can facilitate and support the process better. So it's really a matter of trust and connection, but it's really important. The more rapport, the deeper and the more productive the work.